Yesterday also I have discussed what do you mean by fluctuating stress. When components subjected to fluctuating dynamic, reverse or alternating load, that time stresses are going to induce in the component or a material, you can say. These stresses are known as fluctuating stress. And under these fluctuating stresses, component may fail even though the stress intensity or magnitude, if it's lower than the ultimate stress or sometimes lower than the SYT or yield strength also. And these, the magnitude of the stress causing fatigue failure, or you can say the component may fail before the ultimate or before the yield strength. That means the magnitude of the stress or fluctuating stress causing the fatigue failure decreases as the number of stress cycle increases. As the number of stress cycle increases. Before ultimate tensile strength or may fail before the yield strength also. That means here even that means component may fail the magnitude of stress which is less than UTS or SYT. And these magnitude of stress causing fatigue failure, try to understand, and it is going to decrease as the number of stress cycle increases. As the number of stress cycle increases means stress cycle means number of revolutions, number of RPMs. Try to understand here. Generally in rotary systems, in case of bearings, you will find such a things because bearings are also designed based on this criteria. That means this decrease resistance of the material. Decrease resistance of the material means may fail before SUT or may fail before SYT. That is decrease resistance of the material to fluctuating stress. And this is happening because of these stresses or dynamic load. It's called fatigue. Try to understand. The phenomena of decreased resistance of the material to fluctuating stresses, or you can say the dynamic or fluctuating load, is called fatigue. Yesterday I have explained this things. This is about the fatigue or fatigue failure. Then endurance limit. What do you mean by endurance limit? I have already explained when components subjected to fluctuating load, endurance limit is the criteria or endurance strength is the criteria. But what do you mean by endurance strength? Because you know very well, I have explained in fatigue failure how component is going to fail. The first of all, because of the abrupt change or the change in geometry, somewhere the cracks or the holes or the slots or the cleavage or there may be any the material defect also. Because of that, crack propagates from inside, and when it reaches to the outer surface, that time actual failure of the component happen. There is no alarm, and it is happening like the brittle failure of the material. And that's why while defining the endurance limit, we have to take the care of these the things. The endurance limit means maximum amplitude of completely reverse stress. That standard, here word standard is used, that component can sustain for unlimited number of cycles without fatigue failure. Without fatigue failure means before the when the crack propagates from inside and reaches to the outer surface. So without fatigue failure, that is endurance limit. That means component can sustain for many number of cycles without fatigue failure when subjected to dynamic load. In other way, you can say it's a endurance limit. Try to understand. That means while deciding the endurance limit, you should know the number of cycles before the first crack, that is fatigue failure, and how much is the magnitude of completely reverse load that component can sustain. These three parameters plays important role to decide the endurance limit of the component. Another word which is used here, that is fatigue life. Fatigue life means again it's a number of cycles. It may be in a revolution per minute or the in million revolutions also. Number of stress cycles that standard specimen can complete before the first fatigue crack appears. That means before the fatigue failure directly, you can say. Now here the number of stress cycle may be in RPM or in you can say in cycles also, or in case of million revolutions also, that the specimen can sustain. Suppose bearing, how you are going to define the bearing life? The bearing life which is defined how many number of revolutions that bearing can complete before the first fatigue crack. That is bearing life. Try to understand. And in this way, you can define other, the life of the other components which are subjected to the dynamic or fluctuating loads also. Now here, but while defining the endurance limit or a particular life, standard specimen is the word. Standard specimen is the word which is used. Why standard specimen? Standard specimen means it's a highly polished surface without any discontinuities, scratches, irregularities, or there is no abrupt change. Try to understand. Again, while using the standard specimen for particular applications, that time some of the, the environmental conditions are also maintained in terms of temperature, in terms of humidity, or you can say relative humidity. That means all aspects are taken into account while defining it. And that's why endurance limit is defined maximum amplitude of completely reverse stress that standard specimen can sustain without fatigue failure for unlimited number of cycles. Try to understand. This is the definition of endurance limit. And number of that stress cycles without fatigue failure means it's a fatigue life. That means how many number of cycles that component can sustain. That is the fatigue life. Before first fatigue crack, try to understand. This is about the fatigue life and endurance life. Yesterday I have discussed these things, but today once again I have taken the revision of these things because this aspect is very important while designing the components against fluctuating load or for fluctuating load conditions. And the endurance limit is denoted by here SE dash. Try to understand. This is the nomenclature we are going to use in our analysis also. Then the standard specimen that I have mentioned in the definition of endurance limit or in fatigue life, you will find, look at the standard specimen. It's a simple bar having the curvature which is provided. Again, the diameter at the middle at is 7.5. Then this radius, outer radius of this, the profile of the job or the specimen, 250 R. The length of the specimen that is 85. It's a standard specimen. And again, in the laboratory, some, the environmental or conditions are maintained, temperature, humidity. That aspects also we have to take into account. This is the standard specimen generally used in laboratory to find out the endurance limit of the material or endurance limit of the component, or to find out the fatigue life of the component. That is, it's a standard specimen which is used by R.R. Moore here while finding out the endurance limit and the fatigue life of the component. Try to understand. This is the specimen. I will explain here how to determine the endurance limit in the laboratory. Before that, we should know this endurance limit or the fatigue or the endurance strength, which is depends on number of factors. And these factors are the first one, number of cycles. Number of cycle means how many number of cycles component or material can sustain before the first crack of fatigue it appears on the element or material, or in general way number of cycles component can sustain before the fatigue failure. Then second, mean stress value. Yesterday I have already explained you in sinusoidal, the curves or the different models I have explained with you for different loading conditions. That mean stress also plays important role. Then stress amplitude sigma A is also important. Then stress concentration. Why stress concentration? There is, the change in geometry or abrupt change in geometry. The stress concentration plays important role. Try to understand. That's why stress concentration is also the important one. And because of that, more chances of the fatigue failure, which is going to happen or occur in material or the elements. Then residual stresses is also the another important thing. And you know very well, I have explained the residual stresses, how to reduce it. Sometimes residual stresses are having an advantage, sometimes having a negative advantage. It is a sort of, you can say, the compressive stresses. Try to understand. I have already explained during unit number 1 different types of stresses induced in the component. This terminology during the bearing pressure, during the crushing stress. Then corrosion is also another aspects of the fatigue failure. Sometimes component may fail because of the fatigue failure. Then creep is also the criteria. Creep, which is associated with temperature and that the gradual loading condition. You know very well. You might have studied this terminology in material science or the metallurgy also. And because of this, the many factors which are associated with fatigue failure, and because of this, design of components subjected to dynamic load or fluctuating stresses becomes more complex. Try to understand. And for that purpose, what we have to do, all these parameters or the factors plays important role. But while designing, how to take into account all these factors is a very complicated task or difficult task, and that's why the design of components subjected to fluctuating load becomes more complex. Then question arises, then how to make the analysis simple one? And for that purpose here, number of theories are available. We will discuss that after this slide also. Look at this. This is the parameters on which particular of the material or the component depends. And how to determine the endurance limit in laboratory. For that purpose, again, you might have studied this part also in material science or metallurgy also. Rotating beam machine developed by R.R. Moore. Here, this rotating beam machine which is used to determine endurance limit in laboratory. How the endurance limit which is measured in laboratory, I will explain this within 1 or 2 minutes. Kindly give attention towards these things. Now look at this. This is the base plate. Now here this is the electric motor. Again, bearings are provided to give the supports to these parts of the shafts. Again, here also one bearing is provided. This is the specimen. Which specimen? Standard specimen. Those I have already shown to you, having radius of curvature, then length is 80 mm, everything. This is a standard specimen prepared in a laboratory with a highly polished surface without scratch free. Try to understand. Highly polished surface. Try to understand. It's a standard specimen. I have already shown to you this standard specimen here. This standard specimen that I am going to show here by using this rotating beam machine. Then here bearings are provided. This side also, this side also. It gives support to this. Again here, through this electric motor, we are giving some, you can say the rotation, or we have to rotate the standard specimen. Again, arrangement is made here at the nearby on this bearing here to add some weight. That means bending. By adding weight means bending stresses are we are increasing or decreasing the bending range of the bending strength which is acting on the specimen. Try to understand. This is one thing. Second thing, what we have to do, we have to increase or decrease the weight, means we have to increase or decrease the bending stresses here. But at which one we have to check it when component is going to fail. Fail means sometimes there may be crack propagation. When it reaches to the outer surface of the specimen, that time we have to take the reading of this, how much is the weight or bending magnitude of this bending stress. And second one is magnitude of the RPM. The magnitude means instead of that value of RPM. The at number of RPM, that also you have to measure. That's why revolution counter, which is here, which is used or attached to the rotating beam machine. That means when standard specimen is subjected to bending stresses may be compressive or a tensile, and at which magnitude the fatigue failure or first crack propagates on the surface. During that time, we have to note down the RPM reading in terms of number of cycles or revolution per minute or million revolution. You can use any unit, no problem. In this way, this test, which was carried by Mr. R.R. Moore in laboratory to measure the endurance limit. But you will find here, this is the actual equipment or the instrument. This photograph I have taken from the, by searching the different websites to have some feel only. And this diagram I have prepared here. But here, interesting thing here, suppose standard specimen is this. Again, we are giving some weight. Suppose X weight is given. and number of revolution we have taken before is first crack. And when crack occurs, or first, the crack appears on the surface, you will get one reading. Again, you can change the weight for the stresses. Again, you will get the another reading when that reading should be before the first crack of the fatigue failure. Again, you can change the values of these weights, means the bending stresses. And likewise, for a one specimen, by varying the bending stresses, by using these different weights, you have to take the readings of different RPMs or number of cycles. That means you will find for a one component, for a one material, for a one size and shape, or a one geometry, you have to do lot of experiments and you have to take the number of readings. And after that, you have to plot one graph. I will explain how to do this activity. I hope you understand this, how to use a rotating beam machine. Once you will get a reading here, I have plotted one graph or a curve. This curve is known as a SN curve. I will explain. What do you mean by SN curve? The SN curve is the graphical representation. Try to understand. SN curve is the graphical representation of the maximum applied stress. Maximum applied stress means by using the weight, increasing the weight and reducing the weight, how much is the maximum applied stress at which the first crack of fatigue failure which is observed. And when this fatigue failure observed, that time we have taken the reading of number of stress cycle, that is N. That is SN curve. The SN curve means it's a graphical representation of maximum applied stress on y-axis and number of stress cycles before the fatigue failure. And it's on log paper. Try to understand. It's on log paper. Sometimes in in same examination, questions may be on this. What do you mean by SN curve and how it is used to find out the endurance limit of the component? So what is SN curve? It's a graphical representation. Look at the curve here. On y-axis, that is SF. SF means the applied stress. Try to understand. Then on x-axis, that is number of cycles, but it's on a log paper. That's why log to the base 10 SF, and the x-axis log to the base 10 N, number of cycles. Try to understand. It's a SN curve. The SN curve is a graphical representation of applied stress versus number of stress cycle before the fatigue failure. That is important. Before the fatigue failure. After that, fatigue failure occurs. That means by using this, the rotating beam machine, you will observe, suppose the first of all specimen, some weight is applied and we have taken the reading here, number of cycles before the first crack, and we have noted this reading here on SN curve. Suppose this is one reading. Again, we have changed the magnitude of the stress, again second, and in this way we have checked for the number of cycles before the first crack on the surface of the material or the elements for different stress magnitude. And you will find here the different failure points are observed for the same material or the same element for the different stress levels, and you will observe the different number of cycles before the fatigue failure, and which is plotted on this curve. And that's why SN curve is the important curve to find out the endurance limit. How to find out now? And once these failure points are noted here, look at this. All these are the here X-like structure. The figure. All these are the failure points I have shown here. And through that, we have to construct a one diagram. You will find here, if you are going to construct on x-axis, number of cycles, on y-axis, the stress value, and you will get the nature of the graph through these points like this. Again, important thing you will find here, this is the actually SN curve for steel. That's why I have taken here. Log to the here, number of cycles means log to the base 10 raised into 10 raised to 3, you will get 3. Try to understand. On x-axis, what is 3 here? Log to the 10 into 10 raised to 3 means 1000. So you will get 3. Log to the 10 into 10 raised to 4, that means you will get 4. Log to the 10 into 10 raised to 5, you will get 5 here. Log to the 10 into 10 raised to 6, you will get 6. The 3, 4, 5, 6 means after substituting the 1000 here like this, 10 raised to 3, 10 raised to 4 like this. So you will get here log to the base 10 into n number of cycles. So you have to add 1 0 here. Then on y-axis log to the base 10 SF, that is the stress magnitude. Again here, once you are going to plot in this way, you will find at the 10 raised to 6, this value is 10 raised to 6, or at the 6. 6 means log to the base 10, 10 raised to 6 means 6. Or directly you can say at 10 raised to 6 cycles, you will find for a steel material, here this curve becomes constant. This curve becomes constant. And at that point, you have to locate the stress limit on y-axis at 10 raised to 6. When I am going to locate where the curve becomes the or failure becomes constant, I am going to locate this point on y-axis. And this point I have denoted as a SE, or you can say it's a endurance limit for a steel material, or the material which is used for the component. Try to understand how to locate it. This SE at the 10 raised to 6 for steel material which we have located. So try to understand at the 10 raised to 6 cycle, or log to the base 10 into 10 raised to 6 means at 6. You have to locate where this failure point becomes the constant. So you have to locate this point on y-axis. So you will get this is SE is the endurance limit. And you can locate this SE log to the base 10 SE, you will get this value. And if you would like to find out the magnitude of SE, so you can take anti-log of this SE, you will get the magnitude of SE. This is about the SN curve. Try to understand. Similarly, you can find out the many readings or the failure points for different material, for different load conditions. You will get different number of cycles or the failure points. You can plot it on this SN curve and find out their endurance limit. So looking to that, you may observe it's a very time consuming, it's a very laborious task. Try to understand. It's not an easy task to do this activity in laboratory. This is about the SN curve for a steel material. For a steel material, it becomes constant at the 6 or 10 raised to 6, and you can locate your endurance limit. Now look at this. Again, I would like to show for a non-ferrous material here. Again here, this is also for a steel material. This is for a also steel material. Look at this. Again, but here diagram which is shown for ferrous material means, you know, it contains the iron, that is ferrous. I have shown the diagram here for a SN curve 0 to up to 8. That means 0 to up to 10 raised to 8, here 10 raised to 3 cycles, here 10 raised to 6 cycle. But after taking log to the 10 of 10 raised to 3, you will get 3, here 6, here 8. I have plotted it on a number of cycles on x-axis, and then stress on x-axis. Now again here you will find for a material, again you can imagine the stress strain diagram. You know very well ultimate tensile strength is the maximum strength. It's a material property. That's why at 0, what is the maximum value? Ultimate tensile strength. For a 0, when material or component subjected to static load, 0 cycle means static condition. Try to understand. There is no number of cycles. And that time, what is the magnitude of stress limit? Ultimate tensile strength. You know very well in static load condition or stress strain diagram also. Ultimate tensile strength is the maximum limit. Therefore, for a 0 cycle, on SN curve, SUT is shown is the highest value. Then again here, after that you will find when we are going to reduce this SUT 0.9 SUT before the, I have already told, when component subjected to fluctuating load, component may fail before the SUT also. Suppose take 0.9 SUT. So you will find generally it is going to observe at 10 raised to 3 cycles. At which cycles? 10 raised to 3 cycles. Look at this here. I have located log to the base 10.9 SUT at 10. This 3 means 10 raised to 3 cycles. After taking the log 10, you will get 3. Look at this here. Now here, and after that in 10 raised to 3 up to 10 raised to 6 here, so you will find for a steel or a ferrous material, this curve becomes asymptotic or a constant after 10 raised to 6. There is no variation. And that's why at 10 raised to 6, you can locate the value of SE or endurance limit. So you can say endurance limit which is located for a ferrous material or a steel at 10 raised to 6, and then constructing horizontal line on this y-axis where it cuts gives the value of endurance limit, that is SE. Try to understand. And for ferrous material, SN curve becomes constant at 10 raised to 6 cycles, or it becomes asymptotic at 10 raised to 6. That means constant. Try to understand. This is about the SN curve for ferrous material. But you will find here, interesting thing, I have written on this diagram, 0 to up to 10 raised to 3 cycle is known as low fatigue cycle or low cycle of fatigue failure. And up to 10 raised to 3 to up to 10 raised to 8 is known as high cycle fatigue. Sometimes in examination, question may be defined low cycle fatigue, low cycle and high cycle fatigue. The low cycle fatigue means up to 10 raised to 3 cycle means 1000 RPM or cycles is the low cycle fatigue. And more than 10 raised to 3 up to 10 raised to 8, it's a high cycle fatigue. Try to understand. So these two terms, I will explain here these terms also, why these terms are important here on SN curve. Look at this. Now here, the interesting thing, please give attention. For a ferrous material, I have shown the curve SN, and this curve becomes asymptotic at 10 raised to 10 cycle, means constant. And after that, you will find it remain constant up to infinite number of cycle. Even though if you are going from 10 raised to 8, 10 raised to 9, even though you will find it remain constant. And it's denoted by SE at 10 raised to 6. That I have already told you or discussed with you. Then SN curve is also called as Wohler curve. It's a German scientist or the researcher who published first, the fatigue failure, the literature associated with SN curve. That's why the name is SN curve is also known as the Wohler diagram. Try to understand. Then third case, I have explained third point, low cycle fatigue. What do you mean by low cycle? Any fatigue failure when number of cycles are less than 1000. That means it's a low cycle fatigue. The fatigue failure may occur or happen before the 1000 or 10 raised to 3 cycle. And that fatigue failure is known as low cycle fatigue. And such a fatigue you will observe where I have put some example on this slide. Studs on the trucks, wheels. You will find on the roads many, the studs. The studs on trucks, wheels is the example of low cycle fatigue. The failure of set screws on locating gears in some of the gearboxes or the open gear trains also on the shafts. Then fatigue failure of short-lived devices such as missiles. So you can say low cycle fatigue. But interesting thing, if components subjected to number of stress cycle below the 1000 or 10 raised to 3, sometimes these components are not designed against the fatigue failure. Try to understand what I am telling you. Very interesting and important point. When components subjected to, or in some of the cases, fatigue failure may occur before the 10 raised to 3 cycles. Even though in some of the cases, such a or low cycle fatigue failure components are not designed by considering the design against fatigue load. And these components are designed as usual theory of statics by considering SUT and SYT is the criteria, considering the strength is the criteria by using a higher factor of safety. Try to understand. That's why you will find stud and nut and bolts. If subjected to number of cycles below 10 raised to 3, you can use SUT, SYT is the criteria by static load condition, or the strength is the criteria by considering higher factor of safety. But And why it is so? Because as the number of cycles reaches up to 10 raised to 3, or you will find the phase change of the material may occur from elastic to the plastic, that is plastic yielding in localized area is going to occur. That's why SUT and SYT is the criteria with higher factor of safety. No need to design the component subjected to up to 10 raised to 3 cycles. Try to understand. And even though they are going to fail because of the fatigue failure. But then when to go for design of a component against the fluctuating load? The year when component is subjected to stress cycles more than 10 raised to 3 up to 10 raised to 6 or more than that, these components are designed by considering the design against fatigue load. And for that purpose, what we have to do, you can say this fatigue failure is known as high cycle fatigue. So here low cycle fatigue means fatigue failure when number of stress cycle less than 10 raised to 3. High cycle fatigue means fatigue failure when number of stress cycles are more than 10 raised to 3 up to 10 raised to 8 or more than that means infinite cycles. And these components are designed by using design against fatigue load criteria. And the examples are spring design, ball bearings, the balls of bearings, then gears are the examples of high cycle fatigue. Again here, to design these high cycle fatigue components, what is the criteria? The endurance limit or endurance strength or fatigue strength is the criteria of design. That is SE or AC dash. Try to understand. And for that purpose, what we have to do? We have to use SN curve. We have to use Suderberg line. We have to use Gerber line. You have to use Goodman diagrams or modified Goodman diagrams. So now here in design of fluctuating or dynamic load, we are going to focus on this endurance limit, high cycle fatigue, then SN curve, Suderberg line, Gerber line, and Goodman diagram or modified Goodman diagram. These are the important, you can say the diagrams which we are going to use to design the component which is subjected to fatigue or which is subjected to fluctuating load. Try to understand. I hope you understand very clearly. For a component subjected to fluctuating load, what is the criteria? These are the criteria. Try to understand. This is about the high cycle fatigue. But when the component which is made up of non-ferrous material, then what is the SN curve? Look at this. Here also you will find low cycle fatigue, same diagram. Only you will find here endurance stress limit is going to change. I have already discussed for a ferrous material, the or a steel material. Ferrous means it contains iron, Fe. For ferrous material, the curve becomes constant at 10 raised to 6. But for non-ferrous material, such as aluminum alloy, there is no Fe content. Suppose aluminum alloy is the non-ferrous material. So you will find at 10 raised to 6 cycles, even though when there is a stress, it is subjected to stress, graph slowly or slopes gradually goes down after 10 raised to 6 also. Look at this. So what is the difference between ferrous and non-ferrous? For ferrous, it becomes constant here. And for non-ferrous, continuously SN curve slopes gradually goes down even after 10 raised to 6 cycles. Try to understand. This is SN curve for a non-ferrous. But how to find out the endurance limit? So what you have to do at the 10 raised to 6 cycle, you can locate the point on the curve, locate it on the y-axis, you will get SE. It's the endurance limit of this non-ferrous material aluminum alloy also. Try to understand. And this is SN curve for non-ferrous material. Actually, graph goes down, and even though I am telling you can locate at the 10 raised to 6 to locate the SE. But why? To make the analysis simple one, or otherwise we are going to make the statement non-ferrous material often exhibit no endurance limit. That means non-ferrous material doesn't have endurance limit. How to locate? Whether to locate at the 10 raised to 6, whether to locate at 10 raised to 7, or whether to locate, sometimes it may go down. That's why it is mentioned kindly note no endurance limit. But to make the analysis simple, you can use it, no problem. But in while solving the problem, you will find always SN curves for ferrous material or the steels are given. Generally, you will find not for a non-ferrous material. That's why it doesn't exhibit no endurance limit. It's the question arises where to locate at the 10 raised to 6, 7, 9, and it is going to change, or the past experiments or the design we will decide. And for that purpose, along with this endurance limit, how to decide it? If it doesn't exhibit the endurance limit, the year sometimes endurance limit is expressed as a function of number of stress cycles that I have already told. So you after 10 raised to 6 also you can look at 10 raised to 7, 10 raised to 8 as a function of stress cycle. So in this way you can look at that point on the endurance limit. Now look at this SN curve for different materials. Now look, here is the 10 raised to 4 or 2 into 10 raised to 4 on x-axis number of cycles and y-axis the stress limit is given. You will find here at 10 raised to 5 or 10 raised to 6. Heat treated alloy steel. Look at this here. It goes down and it becomes constant at 10 raised to 5 for a heat treated alloy steel. Again for medium carbon steel, generally for gears, generally for the shafts also, or other the materials, medium carbon steels or the plain carbon steels are generally preferred. That's why we are using this diagram SN curve. So you will find here for 0 you can look at it is going to decrease, and it, at the 10 raised to 6 it becomes constant for medium carbon steel. Again for aluminum or a aluminum alloy, it's a non-ferrous material. There is no endurance limit. Look at this. It goes continuously down, gradually slope, which goes down here. So we can't locate it. But to locate, that's why I have mentioned here, it does not, there is no endurance limit. But to find out this, sometimes we can express it as a function of number of stress cycles. Try to understand. This is about the SN curve. And we are going to use this